Hey there, this is JJ and I'm here with
Eric.
he's my husband, and today in this video we are talking to you about our most recent blood draws. We both have had them done fairly recently.
Yeah, mine was done on January 8th, and we got the results while we were in California. So this is our first chance to really scrutinize them, compare them, and try to figure out what it means. So we should be able to see here a big black box that is obscuring all of the numbers. JG at the top, Eric over here at the right, and we are now going to see what our LDL is. This is bad cholesterol. Bad, so bad. It's evil cholesterol. And
All right. So for for a frame of reference,
okay.
for a frame of reference, in the parentheses is my last blood draw. And in my last blood draw, I was on a statin. Since then, I have gone off the statin. So my LDL on the statin was 107 in my previous blood draw, and it is currently 118. So as expected, it has gone up, yet it's,
I would guess that your GP would see that 107 and they'd be like, you need a higher dose.
oh, my GP would be freaking out.
They would see anything above 100 was an instant heart attack, right?
Instant, yes, she would.
So mine is something that she definitely could not survive seeing. Whoa! Ow. So my current LDL is 265. The previous one from this past summer, 408. And I'm not generally concerned about LDL, but it's hard to see a 408 and feel good about that number. I had gone off of my statin as well after getting a CAC score of 0.
Yes, very important. We both have CAC scores of 0.
And when, what do we call our Dr. R? Is he an integrative doctor? Yeah. He looked at this and he's like, well, in light of the CAC score, I'm much less concerned about that. And he knew I'd gone off the statin. So, but still, what did I change to get from 408 to 265?
What did you change? That is the question. What
Well,
did you change?
this was over the holidays. And so I actually had more carbs during that period of time. And we have just seen some stuff from Dave Feldman, Nick Norowitz, and that group at whatever you call it, Citizen Scientist Foundation. They just released, I think just maybe today, their study that showed eating Oreos lowered cholesterol dramatically. And that was not by switching carbs for fat or carbs for protein. It was just adding the carbs in the lean mass hyperresponders, decreased LDL. It's kind of interesting. So my operating theory here is that by adding some carbs over this particular window, I had actually lowered my LDL. Now, does that matter?
And let's just state, too, that your lipid numbers have been a little perplexing.
Yes. We've talked about that in the past.
But let's refresh a little bit.
And we will see that that is still the case.
Yes. So he is still working on a strategy that he doesn't quite fit the lean mass hyperresponder
No, not quite. That's
patterns.
what we'll see.
And he is looking at more experiments. He's been experimenting and looking at more experiments to come. So
That's right.
yes.
So HDL, everybody that we follow would agree that having elevated HDL is actually good. And even your GP would probably say that's good.
Yes. Yes.
And so let's see what you've got. Survey says,
So mine has technically gone up 1 point. In the previous blood draw, it was 53. Now it's 54. Truth be told, it's always been right around this number. I haven't seen much change with a
Even
statin, without a statin,
before
before carnivore, after carnivore. It's always been right around here.
okay, let's see what survey says about mine. Okay, so my HDL is always low, but it would be more typical for me to see something around 33, 34. So why did it go up this time? And well, the previous time was 38. So this is probably within the margin of error with the test itself. So I just view that as being the same. I have had an HDL reading as high as 54 one time in my life. And I honestly don't know what I was doing at the time. It was not carnivore, I can tell you that. So I would love to see this much higher for both of us. I would like to see this, I don't know what the standard would be, but yeah, in the 70s probably would be where you'd want to see it. All right, let's look at triglycerides. What is wrong with this?
That's a whole new type of blood test.
I will just change it to this. I don't know what happened to my fingers. We just got back from California where I was writing every single day, massive amounts of words of fiction.
Massive.
5,000 words a day, and my hands actually started to hurt. So my typing accuracy is low. All right, triglycerides.
Now, I am so happy with this because I'd like to point out the 75 is on a statin. So I came off the statin. I was doing carnivore at that time, but obviously for less time. I believe I was only doing carnivore for about 4 months at that point. And now after more sustained carnivore, no statin, it has come down to a 55. So I just, so happy. So happy.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But I'm unhappy for me.
Yeah.
Because let's take a look at this here. Ugh. So it's an improvement. In the parentheses, 243 would have been my reading probably last June or fall. I don't remember exactly when. And now it's 200. I don't think anybody in whether they're a vegan doc or a carnivore doc would look at that number and say, huzzah. They would say, well, that's not where we want it, especially with your trigs in that. I mean, you've got basically a 1-to-1 ratio, and that's, I think, what kind of the consensus is you want that ratio of triglycerides to HDL to be 1 or less. And here, if you divide 40 into 200, that's 5. So that's nowhere near 1 or less. But it is better than it was before, 243. I was off coffee on the 243. And I'm back on coffee for the 200. So this doesn't fit with my experiment previously that showed that eliminating coffee reduced my trigs by a third. So, but I was having more carbs, but you would think more carbs would be higher trigs. So it's an enigma inside of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of it. All right, let's go on to ApoB. All right.
Yes. My doctor does not test ApoB every time, so all I have is the last reading. In June, it was 95.
So it's under 100, but we don't really know what the target should be, or if it's actually an important marker. But let's look at mine, because it's not as good. Yeah, look at that. The actually the 240, it was basically, it pegged out the test. It couldn't read higher than that, and so it just said greater than 240. And now it's down to 197. So again, whatever it was I was doing improved these numbers. Did it improve my health? Did it improve my risks? Well, some people would look at that and say it's a very, very high risk with a trigs of 200 and ApoB of 197, and would suggest I needed to immediately start statins and PKS9 inhibitors and bempedoic acid, and I don't even know what all else. I just read they've trialed some sort of a inoculation for cholesterol. That they give you. Sounds great. I want more shots. I want more inoculations. All right. HSCRP.
And again, I don't remember what this says. Okay. So my most recent... This is not correct.
That's not correct.
No.
You know what this is? This is A1C.
Yeah, that's my A1C.
Because your HSCRP is better than that. A1C, which means that this number here I can just delete because it's not the correct one.
So my A1C went from 5 in the previous test to 5.2, up a little bit.
I'm going to get my phone out and look up what my...
While you're doing that, I will say, what will I say? Oh, this is something that I've talked about in previous videos too, is that my blood sugar is higher on Carnivore. It seemed to have trended up a little bit. The average is about 100. There are not massive peaks at all. So its stability is fabulous, but it's a little high. So I've been playing around with adding a little more fat, thinking that maybe the protein, I might be a little more protein than I need, and that's converting to glucose through gluconeogenesis, I believe. So yeah, so my A1C is a little higher, so it's reflecting that. Still within the good range, though.
And the reason that I didn't put A1C on this is because he didn't do my A1C the last time.
Oh.
So I've got to go back to September. It was 5.1. So I will type 5.1 in here, and then I will reveal 5.1. 5.1. And that's kind of where my A1C just kind of lives, is in that range.
Good point. Mine is around this range as well. And it has been actually before I started Carnivore too. It's always been in the low.
Would I like to see it lower? Yeah, but why? I don't know if we really have any risks at this level.
I don't know.
And the insulin numbers will show probably a more important story. Your fasting insulin back in July?
A 3.
3. I mean, that's something doctors don't see. And mine, 3.5.
Oh.
The previous time had been 4.9. And I actually had an older one, I think back from 2021. It was 6.1.
Oh.
And I don't remember in Common Sense Labs what Dr. Berry said was the range you're shooting for, but I'm guessing it's under 5 based upon kind of how he talks about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So those are the numbers that we're sharing. The HSCRP, mine is 1.1 this last time around.
Believe me, the last 3 years, mine has been all over the board. I mean, because we know that is an inflammation marker that could be anything happening in your body, from an infection to arteriosclerosis to a hangnail, as Dr. Berry says. So mine is always, my lowest numbers are always in the 1 range.
Yeah.
I don't get below that.
And I think they want you to be below 1.
Yeah.
Is kind of like the target. So there's some concern there, but you never, like she said, you never know what else might be going on. That might be an acute injury. I mean, you had a broken toe for a while, and that made it go way up.
That did make it go way up. So yeah.
So yeah, these numbers are good for you. I think that the areas where you'd want to see increases HDL.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I mean, it wouldn't be bad to see ApoB go down.
Yeah.
Where I need to work is in HDL up, trigs down, ApoB down. But one could say, well, look, insulin is really low. There's no indication of any sort of metabolic syndrome remaining in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So is the elevated trigs and ApoB in an environment where they will do harm? Whereas if I had an A1C of 8 and an insulin of 11, maybe there would be more concern that because I would be have diabetes at that point, then those numbers would be really alarming because there would be more an opening in my endothelial cells for attack. But do we really know?
We don't really know.
We don't really know.
Mm-mm.
So these are the numbers. I'm going to begin, now that we're back from our first trip and between trips, I may do an experiment here to see if I can move triglycerides a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And what that experiment will be is Carnivore plus a little bit of carb on top of it. So it would probably be closer to Ketovore. because I've been seeing, like on Twitter, Dr. Tro was saying that when he sees this type of thing, when people were fairly lean, adding back carbs can bring trigs down. And I think I've heard Dr. Sivas say that as well. So,
Do you know, are you planning for this experiment to do a daily increase of carbs or a cycling type?
that is something, because this is our first day back from the trip, I have not thought through, but my feeling is it's probably going to be daily, and it's probably going to be a small dose of sweet potato, because it's the carb that I can eat that I like, but won't cause me to go completely off the rails. So that's kind of my thought right now.
Okay.
So, what are you seeing, people? How are your blood markers doing? Have you seen my oddball results on Carnivore, where you do it and you're not seeing the trigs go down and the HDL go up? Or are you seeing more of what JJ's seeing, where the HDL is decent and the trigs are way down? Let us know. And then like,
Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.